Hello from Halotherapy Solutions. We've had a lot of questions from customers on how to market their businesses, so we are providing a recording here of Kenny Kong at the World Halotherapy Association's recent symposium in Las Vegas. Kenny is based in Australia and is probably one of the most successful halotherapy entrepreneurs around. It's about an hour, but well worth it. Enjoy.
Kenny worked for 21 years at the Crown Casino in Melbourne, Australia, where his last position was assistant casino manager at the table games. Kenny has first-hand experience with salt therapy. In July 2013, he became sick with acute bronchitis. That's from all that smoke, in the casinos that he had to endure. His body finally gave in. And he was, he was sick for about 9 months, where he was on multiple antibiotics daily. He said, I talked to him last night, he said his whole regimen was get up in the morning, and then he coughed and coughed and coughed for a couple hours, I think, in the morning, just to get all the accumulated infected mucus up. So he committed to salt therapy for just over 3 months, attending 5 sessions a week. In the first couple of months, his health and all-day, everyday cough and asthma was relieved, as well as his thick brain congestion. This was his impetus to look into salt therapy. Kenny grew in his job at Crown Casino and joined the salt therapy revolution. Welcome, Kenny.
I think that was my entire talk. Hi, as Anne just said, I'm Ken, I'm from Australia. I've run a salt therapy centre for about 5 years now. Actually, just ticked over 5 years on the 1st of September. I renewed my lease about 3 months ago for another 5 years. So I have optimism. Look, I'll first start off, and it was like we touched on the bio, working shift work for all those years pretty much wrecks your immune system. 1 month you're starting work at like 3 o'clock in the morning, then the following month you start work at 7 o'clock at night. So your sleep pattern's a little bit askew, and you might be lucky to get 3 or 4 hours sleep a night. 5 is a luxury, that's on an RDO, and you wake up early anyway. So as a backdrop, I'm an asthmatic, I'm a hay fever sufferer, and I'm prone to catching chest infections. So if someone's sneezing over there, but the wind's coming from this direction, I'm somehow going to catch it. That's how bad it was. But so leading up to salt therapy, I was a manager. I had quite a large number of staff under me, and one of my jobs was to control absentee level. So therefore, I don't take sick days. So I haven't taken a sick day in 4 years, hadn't been on holidays for almost 4 years. And so, but leading up to it, I've been probably, this is probably July 2013 when I first did salt therapy. So prior to that, for 9 months, I was sick with acute bronchitis, constant asthma attacks. I was averaging at least 24 puffs of Ventolin a day. That's across day and night. I had one in my pocket, in my glove box. I had one in my locker at work, in my desk at work. I had them planted everywhere. But it didn't really give a lot of relief. And I was on Seroquel AccuHalo 500. Now, my routine every morning before work was in the shower, was cough violently in the shower until dull green Play-Doh came out. My face was red, my eyes were bloodshot, but I got the Play-Doh out. And I called it Play-Doh because it didn't go splat, it went clunk. It just stayed in the shape. That was my life, and I accepted that. When you look back with hindsight, it's a wonderful science, hindsight. I can't believe how stupid I was and how accepting I was that I was affecting my own health. But my only concern was so long as I got to work, sacrifice for the company. I'm sure I got to thank you for something. So what led up to it, I took the family on, I took 6 weeks off, my first holidays in almost 4 years. We went down to a place called Kangaroo Island, and I suddenly got sick. Well, I was sick, but I suddenly just collapsed in a heap. Couldn't get out of bed. I was shivering, I was sweating. I couldn't breathe. My Ventolin wouldn't work. None of my. I tried Codral and Sudafed. They're in your market as well. Yep. I was on both of those at a time. Nothing worked. I even tried horseradish tablets. Nothing could clear my sinus and my chest. I could not breathe. And so when I sort of started getting better at the end of the holiday. Fantastic. So after 2 weeks, I was back in home in Melbourne. Hadn't seen I barely saw a kangaroo, right? Kangaroo Island. I saw a couple of wallabies. I did see an echidna. So the idea is that I thought, look, I am sick to death. I didn't use those words. That of being sick on my own time, and I've just lost 2 weeks holiday. So I thought, look, I remembered an old doco on a current affair, a TV program that talked about soft therapy about a year ago, how it's good for chest infections and asthma. And I thought, look, I'm going to give this hippie shit a go. I've had enough. So I wandered down, it would be about 10 to 10 in the morning, and wandered into the shop and said, oh, I heard this is good for asthma and chest infections. Yeah, do you want to try? I've got a session about to start. All right, no worries. Go in there, come out. I thought, didn't feel anything. I felt my nose tickling a little bit, but it was a bit chatty in there. There was a bunch of retirees in there, and they thrilled to see a young person in there. So at 10 o'clock in the morning, and so yeah, I thought I could do this, no worries. I signed up to a contract. At the time it's $35 a week, gives you unlimited visits. So I could do this, and because I still had no 4 weeks holidays, I made it a habit. Now, I hate to make it a habit because I'm the guy that signs up to a gym membership, do a workout. Oh, gee, that was sore. I might take a couple of days off. 6 months later, I'm still a member, and I haven't gone back for a second visit. So I forced myself to do it. I made it habitual. I averaged about 5 sessions a week for the next month or so. And when I went back to work, depending on what shift I was on, so I was going to soft therapy on the way in or on the way out. And so sometime I'm in the shower getting ready for work. I thought, hang on a second, I don't remember the last time I coughed. Hang on a second, I think I'm better. Hang on, I've got no asthma. I thought, hang on, turn it off. And I hopped on the computer. Now, I never sat down and talked to anything about soft therapy. I actually I had to look it up. I thought, what's this therapy all about? Oh, it's just salt. I'm breathing in salt. Is that all? What a great idea. There's no hardly any overheads. It's just salt. So I saw the little flashing sign, franchises available. So I sat around and then also I'll steady up a centre. And I didn't quite chuck in my job. I waited a year because they to try and induce me into this franchise, they offered one of their experienced managers to run the centre for me whilst I stayed in my job. I thought, all right, yeah, pretty secure in place for 21 years. That was a big mistake. You have to be engaged. Now, this is where I start talking about the business. That staff member's not engaged. They're just an employee. They couldn't care less, really. They think they're working hard, but they don't have the same drive and passion that I had. But that being said, what sort of passion I have, I just thought, oh, this will be one of my casino projects. I'll just have these employees, one of my little projects on the side, and I'll just like the other ones. Reached a turning point when the bank started saying, look, we can't give you any more money. You've run out of equity in your home loan. Oh, that's so good. I didn't quite say it that way. So I called in a friend of mine. This guy, he's the type of guy that can sell ice to Eskimos. No problems. I thought, he could teach them how to sell. No, he couldn't. Because they weren't that interested in coming out of their comfort zone. The only person that can sell is if you believe in it. And so I reached that point and where I thought, I've just lost 120,000. I'm not trying to admit that to you. It's as far as I know, because I don't want to investigate any further. because every time I look into it and try to do calculations, it gets worse and worse. So let's leave it 120,000 was the first year loss. And I thought, look, and I had to, the question I asked myself was, what do I want out of a business working sort of life? And I wanted financial independence. I promise you, this is my network marketing spiel. Right? I thought, well, I've worked at Crown for 20 years, I've worked hard, and I've got a great pay, so to speak, on paper, but I'm no better off. So I thought, if I work this business and really genuinely work it out, work hard at it, something I believe in, I might be a chance. So that's what I told my wife, if you're quitting your job as a teacher, I'm quitting my job as a casino manager, that's it, we'll give this business a go. And we turned around almost immediately. Because when I'm talking to people, and I hope I'm giving you the sense that I do love soft therapy and I'm passionate about it. I got the transformation. And so I told people about my story, and next thing you know, people are starting to feel it and try to believe in it. They never heard of salt therapy. I'm sure their response in their head was the same as mine. What is this hippie stuff? Right? So we continue. So I kept on going out to visiting all sorts of different GPs and different health practitioners. I spent a lot on advertising and printing. Now, I can tell you that most of the GPs scoffed at me. The printed media did not work. I spent a lot. But chiropractors are fantastic. I think they went through the same journey a couple of decades ago where people called them quacks. So next thing we know, I started networking with people who are related to the whole body health. So nutritionists, naturopaths, chiropractors, and one of my teachers happened to go to a local hospital, and they returned the email. I thought, oh, what do I do now? And so I sent an email, yeah, I'd like to talk to you about salt therapy, and they set up an appointment for me. I thought, how am I going to talk to doctors about this? How am I going to talk to people? So I swatted the night before the meeting on every medical term associated with the airways. I memorised it all. It was like studying for exams. And so when I went there to present salt therapy, I could see I was losing them. They weren't interested in my conversation. But then she happened to spot amongst my material were testimonies. She was interested in the testimony of all the people that have been putting it down on paper, how they've transformed and what they can do now. And then I realised how I said, they weren't interested in what you knew about the medical terminology, because they talked to typical people on the street. They talked their customers or their patients were just normal people. They were interested in what they used to be able to do, what they can't do now, and what they'd love to be able to do now. And so what we presented from there on end, with all our presentations and consultations, what did you used to do? Well, I used to be able to walk the dog, I used to be able to do the gardening, I used to be able to walk down the shops, but now I can't. I've got 40% lung capacity, and I'm exhausted when I walk up a slight incline. Well, here we go. With salt therapy, it will open up your airways, allow you to breathe a lot better, and whilst it won't cure you of any of your conditions, you'll certainly maximise your health benefit with the remaining healthy part of the lungs. It's as simple as that. And we started getting, so now that hospital, we had some great results. I'll talk about one of the guys, Robert. He's a Vietnam War vet. When I first met him, he first came into our centre, and when he walked in the door, he'd actually parked about 3 doors away, but there's a slight incline about this time, slightly. Walked in the door, and he's lying across the couch. He could not speak to me, he's exhausted, out of breath. And he admitted to me that he lived in his bedroom. He didn't leave it. He ate and slept in there. Of course he slept in there. There's the other explanation I was going to say. And he did salt therapy regularly 3 times a week, and for 3 months. Then he said, look, I'm going to take a month off to see what I'm like. Now, I had no idea how he's progressing. I'd say, hey, Robert, how are you going? Good, keep walking out the door. No time for me. I thought, this guy's going to hate salt therapy, I'm sure of it. I did. So he came back exactly a month later. So Ken, you saved my life. I was shocked about the saving life bit, although he's actually spoken a sentence to me. But as it turned out, he was on a nebulizer 4 times a day before salt therapy, and he used an entire Ventolin every 2 days. He doesn't remember when he last used his Ventolin, and he got rid of the nebulizer as soon as he started doing salt therapy. So now he's better, and now that was October 2016. Now I wondered how he was. Look, he's got COPD, scar damage from all the chemical warfare, and I thought, well, it's a permanent condition, all that scarring. Eventually that inflammation will grow back. And he said this much. He said, look, when I get better, well, when I get worse, I'll know where to find you. All right, no worries. What are you going to do now? I'm going to buy a new car. This is a guy that lived in his bedroom, didn't get the mail. And he admitted he was resigned to dying very soon. Now he's buying a new car because his old war buddies are all based in northern New South Wales. It's about 800 kilometres, so 500 miles away. So he's buying a new car to do the road trip. I didn't see him or hear from him for a couple of years, and I wondered. I'm almost too afraid to ring up and find out. And one day I'm doing a talk, very much like this, and I talked about this Robert guy. Suddenly a hand raises up. Ken, I think you're talking about me. Oh, Robert, how are you? I've been too scared to call you, so I've just been talking about this story. He says, oh, no, it's all true, it's me. Oh, no, I don't need it yet. So we're now in September 2019, and we're still fine. Now with the business, it's stories like that that capture the not the imagination, but capture the attention of people related to that specific age demographic group conditions. So we really promote the testimonials on Facebook. We really promote those sort of specific ideas and advertise it and say, and on Facebook we've got even stricter rules now, so we can't really talk about us being a help and all that sort of thing in specific terms. But we marketed that, and we're getting some great responses specific to that, to the season and specific to the conditions. The hospital was pretty pleased with some of the results, so now we're actually part of their program. So lung specialists, GPs, all send their worst cases of the respiratory system to this particular local hospital for a 6-week, it's their pulmonary rehab program. It runs for 6 weeks, and on the last week they get introduced to me. And it's a great, it's a good feed off in terms of business, but also it's great cachet to be able to say that, look, we're part of the hospital program, it's part of the mainstream. And that's what we're trying to aim for, to become part of mainstream. Because at the moment we're still considered alternative at best, hippie at worst, but hopefully complementary. And one day the big dream is we'd be able to be part of the mainstream as they would be in, say, Poland. There are different, whilst coming here, I thought of the different approaches I've gone through. You can ask the question and get as many yeses as you can, but you're probably outweighed by quite a large number of no's. And you run around doing that. Or there's another way you can do the great customer service you offer. You're so nice to everyone, but you don't really close that sale. That's one way, but it's not that effective. The other way is becoming the expert of lung health in the area. Nobody is. So if people suddenly realise your expertise in the area, you don't have to know about the cures. You just know, all we're worrying about is the symptoms of whatever condition that has. They can come up with some sort of, you can talk about fibromyalgia, they can talk about COPD, asthma. It doesn't matter what condition, it's what the symptoms are. How can we help their symptoms? And their symptoms are inflammation, congestion, we can help them, right? And it's to do with the immune system. We can actually help boost the immune system because you breathe more oxygen. And those sort of the conversations that we have to establish our expertise in that level. And that's, when we become experts, we can charge expert prices. We can actually dictate terms, but when we're unsure about it, well, people are going to take advantage and think, oh, well, I'm just going to go and try something else. But we're the therapists, we're the ones prescribing this course of action to become better in health and to lead a better lifestyle, because they're focused on what they can and can't do before and after, and that's what we deal with all the time. The next phase is being brand recognition. That comes from the expertise. Once people start knowing about you and start recommending you by name above the actual therapy. So a good example is some of the mums that have come in showing me blogs, the kids' blogs, the pages on Facebook. Yeah, go see Kenny and Kathy in Frankston. It's not go see the company, go see Kenny and Kathy. We've become a brand. So it means it's very hard to go on a holiday. So my wife's actually holding the fort while I'm here. So so one of the things we're now really pushing as a business, we've worked past 5 years, we want to make sure that when people think of salt therapy in our area, when they think about their respiratory problems, they think of, go see Kenny and Kathy, who run the salt rooms. And I think that's one of the great things which I'll lead on to in terms of salt therapy. Now, one of the things we push is membership-based, because we work on consistency and regularity of salt therapy. So we push the membership, and we use the premise that for kids it usually takes a couple of months to properly flush out their airways and gain traction in all the symptoms, and give or take a couple of weeks either side. And for adults, we usually say, if it's a lifelong asthmatic, they're middle-aged, we usually say, look, it should take you about 3 to 4 months. So we work with management plans for an adult that lasts a minimum term of 13 weeks. So we know that as far as revenue is concerned, we've got that consistent revenue of that membership coming in on a weekly basis, and for that period of time. And we know that when they're supposed to be due. And we also, as you all would know, we keep a tab on their progress through rebooking, how's it going, and then we take down notes of their progress. Kids with bronchiolitis, that's the current big one in Melbourne at the moment, because we're just now entered spring in Melbourne, but we've just come off winter. So kids with bronchiolitis are the biggest one that's been coming in our centre at the moment. So we really market that, and it usually takes a couple of months, give or take a couple of weeks on either side, through regular 3 sessions a week. If you come in more often, it's even better. So people see value in that, being a member. So a kids package which allows the parent or carer with one child is $49 a week. That's Australian dollars. And that allows unlimited visits. When they see unlimited visits, they think, oh, that's good for today. So if you divide that up by 3, all of a sudden that's pretty cheap. And if they come in 4 times, we're getting better value for money. So we stick with it. Fundamentally, as far as the operations go, we stick with the premise: kids, a couple of months, give or take, and adults, 3 months, give or take. So we lock them into that contract term, and they can keep going on consistently. I don't subscribe to actually keeping people there for the whole year. Although I've got several members that have been members for the entire 5 years, where they taper off. When they're feeling better, they come in once a week as part of the maintenance, and we do offer that anyway as a membership, but they're still on the same plans they were from years ago. Right. Now moving forward into the future, now as I've mentioned, I actually demand of my clients they come in 3 times a week. I try to make no exceptions and say, look, if you come in twice a week, it's a slow burn. Once a week, forget it. I don't want you here, basically. 3 times a week is effective. So it places that thought process, I've got to come in regularly to get benefit. I'm sure Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't train once a week to get that big. There's some of the analogies I might use. But moving forward as a business model, I do realise that people who live, say, 45 minutes away from me, they're not going to come in 3 times a week, especially with the kids, and spend 45 minutes there and then another 45 minutes back home. So I started thinking about selling. Well, I obviously can't service those people, but I want to spread the salt therapy idea. So that's how I actually started talking to Steve about it all, Steve Spiro from Global, where the idea was to actually, at first was to sell to affluent homes that were, say, 45 minutes to an hour away from me, so at least they got salt therapy and I had my finger in that pie. Now I was thinking, well, what if I sold to a business in that area? I still got a small finger in that pie, but at least I'm helping salt therapy as well, and I'll get a little bit of a reward back. And that's, I think, moving forward as experts in the field of salt therapy and lung health, I think that's a fantastic position for everyone. But anyway, I think that's about sums up my talk. I don't know, do you want to have time or? Now, if anyone's got any questions, I'd love to. Hi.
Hi. You talked about how you are introduced by the medical professionals. How did that happen?
It was almost like, if I look at it unbiased, it was pretty much spam email. I was just sending out personalised emails, but I was pretty much typing the same thing and sending out to each medical centre. And a couple of GPs responded to the best word. I was going to say, wait, but that just sounds so dodgy. Yes, and including one of the hospitals. I won't name them because they don't like. There's a bit of a political problem with in the medical fraternity in Australia. They're very conservative and they're quite influenced by so-called big pharma. They won't endorse cell therapy, but they've got a program that includes me in there. So I'm sort of flying under the radar, even though the hospital has included me officially as part of the program.
So you just reached out to local doctors, introduced yourself, and told them about your services?
Yep, and the ones that responded, I capitalised on them and concentrated on them and didn't worry about those other ones. That was the first stage of selling them.
So what kind of facilities have you got? How many sort rooms, how many stores?
So I've got 3 machines, so 3 rooms, 1 family room. It can fit reasonably comfortably 4 different parents and their kids, so long as they're small. If they're bigger, then I might lose one of the adults. And I've got an adult room with 7 chairs. I use those vibrating massage chairs. And then I've got a private room for those with eczema all over their bodies that have to remove their clothes.
Then you've got 1 store.
Yes, 1 shop.
So you've got the private booths, that from Steve or from...
No, these ones I've only just met Steve earlier this year.
Okay.
But I've got the Halomed machines. Yeah, so
Is
so
your private room a booth or a bed?
it's a small walk-in robe, and really, in terms of size, walk-in wardrobe with a massage chair in there. And they can do whatever they like. They move the chair aside, they want to lie down. I find most of them use the chair, some of them start doing their own yoga in there. They do whatever they like in there, I have no idea.
So how do you manage to convince people? Because we are in Melbourne, Florida, not Australia.
Yep.
And when we talk to people, they said, "Oh, okay, I could go to the beach." I said, "Yes, it's 20 minutes in my boots. It's 8 hours at the beach. If you've got 8 hours in your life, go at the beach and do the same thing. I've got 20 minutes for $15." But for other people, it's very hard for them to go to the memberships. They don't like to be hooked.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And so how do you manage that? Because a lot of people call...
It's really important. I consider the consultation prior to the session very, very important. It's where I emphasise how often they need to come in, and you need to know what the effects are and how often and what the processes are, what they expect, and really spell out. Because most of the people that are coming in have tried everything else. They've been on antibiotics, they're like myself. They've been asthmatic for life. They've been on medication for quite a lot of years. They thought, look, I'll try this. Well, look, and you can, without saying it, you can almost imply the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a result. So it's a consultation where you put it on. I wouldn't call it the hard sell, but you're really emphasising how excited you are for them. That by about the 3 month stage, you'll be breathing a lot clearer, a lot better. You'll get more oxygen and you'll have more vitality. And you really focus on the things that they used to be able to do, can't do now, and would like to do. And you picture them in that. It is a sell. It is a selling technique to close a sale. But there are people who are hesitant committing to a contract, and you spell out to them. You can pay $40 for a single session, and you keep doing that. Can you do that 3 times a week? Well, here you've got a membership. You sign up. You're going to feel so much better by the end of the 3 months. But there are people also. It's usually the retirees who object to the direct debits, but that's one of the things you need to push across about the trust, that you can easily handle any of the inquiries or questions about the direct debits on the spot, because you can handle it. Because most of the time when you join a gym, you're on a direct debit, it's virtually impossible to locate the manager in charge of cancelling your membership. Well, we're our own small business, we could do it on the spot there and there if there's any trouble, any issues. Hi.
What do your memberships look like? How many different memberships do you have?
So we've got what we call the progressive plan, which is for adults, $39 a week, unlimited visits, minimum term of 13 weeks. We've
So
got
you're charging them per week as opposed to per month?
yeah, per week, yep.
How many days a week?
I'm open 7 days a week. For holidays. And then we've got the seasonal plan, which is a 9-week minimum for adults. That's $43 a week. Then I've got a family membership, which is $49 a week with a 9-week minimum as well. And I've got what I call
You
the
say family, how is that?
oh, it's strictly one carer, one child, and for every extra child, I add $10 to that per week.
Okay.
So if they've got 2 kids they're going to bring in, it'll be $59 a week. Then I've got what they call the short course. I typically sell the short course, which is a 4-week plan, unlimited visits, to people who are generally really well, and suddenly something's happened. They've always had good health, or those who are athletes have got to be cold because they've overtrained. And I put them on that one because they get a quicker and greater response than say someone with chronic asthma.
Sorry, I think it's just important, you're talking Australian dollars, right?
Yes, I am.
So it's 1.46 to the US dollar.
Yes, so a 49. So it'd be about so a $49 plan would be about 75.
So your $39 a week, about 25 bucks a week.
Yeah, I think it's I'm working the other way around. Sorry.
How much was that?
$25 a week.
39 Australian dollars, about 25 bucks. Okay.
What was your seasonal plan price?
It's $43 a week, Australian dollars. Not minimum.
How do you approach your fitness groups like college?
That's what I've been working on, carrying over from the previous season. Athletes are a funny bunch. I can divide sporting/athletes into 2 groups, men and women. Right? I'll explain my frustration to a couple of people already. With the women athletes, they find out about soccer, they try it out, and, wow, this is fantastic. They tell their teammates, they tell their clubmates. So I get teams of women from the same team. Guys that try soccer, they're going to get great results. They don't tell anyone. So I asked one of the guys, so have your teammates noticed your improved aerobic capacity? Oh, yeah. Have they asked you what you've done? Yeah, they did. And what did you say? I trained hard. Oh, what are you doing? You didn't tell us something. Oh, no. They don't understand.
So you wouldn't approach like a college, you wouldn't approach the athletic.
I've approached sporting clubs, and it's a slow process because a lot of those sports clubs are run voluntarily by middle-aged men. They don't know, but they're actually a bit of a hurdle. But I've had some successes from individual sports people with it, and that's a result of word of mouth, where they've actually brought people, set people our way, because cyclists and football players, Australian football players, and soccer players. And so we've had success from women's clubs, but no traction for men's clubs.
Men are a harder sell than women.
We men.
Yes.
When you do the consultation with your customers, do you sit down with them, or you got employees and you train your employees to do the same thing?
Yes to both the questions. Most of them I sit down with. I've set up a little cafe-style chair and table where that's in reception. Now, ideally, it'd be great to have a sort of a separated room, but I'm limited in space. But we sit down and as we do the consultation, I fill out a form. It takes a few minutes to fill out a form, and then I sit down with them. In fact, when they book in on the phone, we try and get as much information out of them, so we do a bit of a background information.
Oh yeah, he's trying to stay with it.
So we come in fully armed, without them realising that we know a lot more about them, so that we do amplify or promote the expertise side. And that's quite important. The expertise side is what will sell your business.
Oh, did you
It
see
will
the
drive your
video?
business.
Where did you see it? I saw you saw a
My
video.
body.
I like ways to do one thing.
Yeah, it's quite difficult roadmap in there.
Yeah.
If it's actually not even a map.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm going to give you the second. Thank you very much for your. Oh, sorry. Oh, I thought you were saying, shut up, Alex, you talk too much.
No, it's so valuable for everybody because I'm sitting in the back of the room having run for medical for 5 years. And a lot of what you said, I'm like, yeah, they have to pay attention. That's so important. Because nobody loves your business and is excited about halotherapy as you are. So I had staff members, the same thing. I'm like, don't let anybody leave without this trifold that will explain it. Because if they don't understand it, they're just gonna use it once and say, I don't really feel anything, and they're gonna go. So nobody can do that the way an owner that's passionate about it can do it. So if you don't have a staff member that can do that, you need to be there yourself. And you need to make sure every person that leaves with everything you've told them. So that trifold is critical, because then they leave and they have something to reference back because they won't remember everything. The other thing is, I wanted to point out that I know Dr. Hollenbeck has a really nice physician level portfolio that helps you to speak to your physicians, the medical community, whether it's holistic or mainstream. You can sit down with them or one-on-one, whatever, chiropractors, and it's like you said, like you don't have to memorize all the, be an expert on the lung, because it's a lot.
If I need to, I don't know what I'm going to have to do. I'll sleep at night.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to point that out, to grab that physician level portfolio and kind of educate yourself, at least so you have like a working knowledge of what you need to know when you speak to the physicians in the medical community. And never, ever, ever use the term replacement, or they don't need the meds because they're going to come here. You only ever speak to it in terms of augment therapy or complementary therapy is what he said. Because as soon as you don't do that, they've tuned you out. So your goal is to partner with them to gain control of that asthmatic or that person with allergies. You want to partner with them to gain best control. And again, coming from somebody with 10 years of respiratory background with a pharmaceutical company, there's a lot of gaps that still are out there. And some kids don't want to be, parents don't want to put their kids on steroids every single day when they're only intermittently asthmatic or maybe mild asthmatic. So they don't like the idea of these daily steroids, but they need to be on. But that said, you were saying that they go through like a Ventolin or a rescue med a couple times a month. My God, they're way out of control. So if you can have them add the halotherapy in to reduce the amount of rescue meds that they're on, or maybe higher doses of steroids, bring them back down a little bit on those higher doses, and still gain the same control, it's a win-win for everybody. So I just wanted to point that out because I thought those were really good points.
Actually, I was going to say,
Cindy's, it's on her, if you're a member, you have access to it. If you're a non-member, I think you still have access to studies, so you can always reference physicians' studies. But if you are a member, you can get the actual physician level portfolio that allergists, pulmonologists, that kind of speak the language, and it gives you a little bit, ammunition or whatever, so you can go speak to them. That was a great topic.
But actually further to that, a great example of adding complementary into your conversation or consultation with your clients is when if they're an asthmatic, you're all familiar with the Ventolin and all the vendors like Fixitide and Seretide. You can actually say that this actually will maximise, actually increase the ability for the Ventolin to get through to the membrane of the bronchial. Which is, and you can relate it back to the nebulizers that you're all familiar with nebulizers for an asthmatic. Well, that's a saline-based solution because it cuts through all that gunk, all that congestion to allow the Ventolin to get through. Well, this is the same thing.
Yeah, and the stress part of it is really important because you've heard Kathleen's monitor and a few of us reference stress is killing everybody. Another sort of manifestation of halotherapy is the whole relaxation piece. It then relaxes the airway. And back to what Kate said, when your airway is more relaxed, you can breathe deeper. The medicine, the salt, in our case, will penetrate and get in a little bit deeper. So that being relaxed while you're having your therapy is important.
Yeah, and that's another thing, that's another bonus of the massage chairs we have. I never tell them about the massage chair until we get to putting the booties on, just before they enter the room. I'll say, oh yeah, I'll come in with you and I'll show you how to use the massage chair. Oh, there's a massage chair in there? Oh yeah. It helps break up congestion, it helps vibrate the chest cavity, break up the congestion in there. Apparently, I don't know, but I think it's relaxing as well. They're sold, they're sold.
What do you have on the floor where your massage chair is?
Oh, I've got ordinary pool salt. It's just aesthetics. So all I do is go to Big W, I think is your version of Walmart, but not as good actually, I noticed. And I just renew the salt. But it's just ordinary pool salt, because otherwise if it's just a bare floor, you're going to get salt particles, like a salt dust all over it with footprints. It just doesn't.
Pool salt?
Yeah, it's ordinary swimming pool salt.
Okay.
Yeah. The accent. Yeah, so it's ordinary pool salt, but it really helps, that actually helps us maintain a clean appearance, because if it was just a vinyl floor, tile floor, wooden floor, you can get all this salt dust all over it, and eventually you get your footprints and drag marks all over it. It's very difficult to sweep and make it look neat. So just having pool salt there is easy to sweep and make it look neat.
How often do you have to change that out?
No, it's more like I renew it. I add more to it. Yeah.
You know the oxygen sensors you can put your finger up to?
Oh yeah.
Do you think that would be an interesting add-on for like an
I do actually. I've actually been talking to a Queensland company. Queensland's another state of Australia, sorry. They build oxygenators. And so what I wanted to do, initially my query started with, I get people who walk in with a trolley with an oxygen tank, and they've got the mask over them, so they can't really do salt. So when they're taking the mask off, they can take salt through it, but they have no oxygen. So I was working on a way of actually sending more oxygen into the room. And it's fed by this little plastic tube, and I can feed it through into the room and increases the oxygen content in there. And then that's where I started working on the idea, well, I need to have a sensor to put on my finger.
So you're doing that now?
No, not yet. That's the next phase. I actually separated from the franchise 2 months ago, and so I'm spending, although I'm going to save probably about $3,000 a month on franchise fees and marketing everywhere anywhere, I just do a bit of a spend on the signage. So initially my plan was to bring it in August, but the changeover in the signage and new software and everything is costing a bit, so probably pull that to somewhere around
People
November.
might want to stop by too. I wonder if they could in your area. Or I don't know. Just
Yeah.
like give you a
I think it's a great idea, and that leads me to my next phase. I'm going to concentrate more, a bit harder on the athlete side, because I'm not too sure what it's like in America here, but in Australia, the salt therapy is very, very seasonal, and I can't emphasise that enough. So winter and spring is quite good. In fact, the peak season is in the overlap of winter and spring, where we suddenly have peak numbers, where we all of a sudden open up new time slots and having people getting upset they can't get into their normal times. But then come at the end of spring and the overlap of summer, that's when it starts dropping. Our summer occurs during Christmas. So leading up to Christmas, probably early December, it's when we start seeing numbers actually drop significantly. So we've seen numbers drop as far as 60% drop. Some centres have dropped 70 to 80%. Obviously that was one of the concerns in our dispute. My centres dropped around about 30 to 40%. We've maintained by bringing in people in pre-season training or athletes to help tie it over. So that my centre's break even is about 75 members. Sometimes that's give or take depending on the content of the membership level. But I think the lowest, my last summer I dropped down to 92 members. So So that was okay, still making profit. Whereas some of my other colleagues said, look, in the last 12 months, 7 salt centres have closed in Melbourne, with the owners owing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's not a hit or miss, but there's the fluctuation is quite dramatic. That's why we really work on a membership base where there's consistent income coming in on a weekly basis. Hello.
Hi.
Phyllis, how are you?
Hello there. So, do I understand that you let people with a personal oxygen concentrator in your room?
No, those people that are coming in, I think it's about 4 people so far. They've got oxygen tanks, and they've been in the private room anyway, because if they're on walkers and everything, they can barely support themselves. So I put them in the private room because they're walking through the salt on the ground, they'll end up tripping over. So it's a bit of a hazard. So they've got their own room, so they can sit there with the oxygen tank.
And they're using a nasal?
Well, at the moment they've all got cups on it, so they take it off and breathe, and then breathe in with oxygen. So that's how they're doing it at the moment. Which is why I started looking into taking my own oxygen out, because they're pumping oxygen into the room itself.
Okay, but
Not yet, no. I haven't got there yet.
I just want to clarify this too. We've had people even with the fully compressed oxygen. We leave the tanks outside the door or the cord underneath. And they don't have the mask, it's just like this. They start panicking in the beginning, afraid, but they would put the thing on their finger, and their levels would start dropping for a minute, but literally 1 or 2 deep inhales with the salt, and all of a sudden, it would go back up again, and they would relax, and then they started not worrying about it. So we had quite a few. We never brought the tanks in the room. We just had a chair close to the door and run the cord.
So I'll clarify, in the private room, it's actually a dual, it's a 2-room system.
well, I had this exchange with Steve, which is why I'm asking.
Okay.
We had one client who wanted to bring her personal oxygen concentrator in the room, and he said that it would probably be a little too corrosive for that particular piece of equipment. But there is a way we could run her cord, leave the machine outside of the booth and run her cord into the booth. And the general opinion was that still wasn't probably a good idea. But I mean, I kind of feel like if you've exhausted some other avenues and you think this might help you, why would I tell her no?
No,
We did this for
I would
several
agree with
years
you.
and it worked well.
Pardon?
It worked well and the doctors had no problem with it. And their machines, a good 3 years experience, 3 times a week did that, and there was no problem with her oxygen.
But they didn't take them in the cave,
No,
they just
they
ran
didn't
the
take it
tubing.
in, just ran the cord under the door and sat close to the door.
Thank you.
Yeah, so our private room is a two-room situation. A sliding door away from the public, but they've got, it's like a little change room where they've actually kept their oxygen tank and the trolley in there because the tube's long enough for them to sit in the seat in the next room.
Right.
And is there salt on the floor in that room too?
No, there isn't, no.
What's your floor?
Vinyl. A wood appearance of vinyl.
Have you ever had any problems slipping?
No, not at all, no, not at all. No, it's actually got difficult to slip on, actually, unless it's wet.
Well, the humidity does.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm asking a question to everybody here because I was under the impression that somebody's got COPD-3, which means they need to breathe oxygen, not recommended for them to use a salt room. What's the stand on this matter? Because I saw that COPD-3, your lungs can't even take the salt.
Well, that is an interesting conundrum, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
so-
I've had people with COPD-4, yes, and they actually have done very well. It's kind of kept them alive, I think. In fact, I had, before I flew out here, the husband came in to get some more salt because we've set her up at home now. She's just too weak to come in. And they've got hospice in, but he's swearing the salt therapy, and she's doing it 2 or 3 times a day at home,
So-
is what's keeping her alive.
Because I've been turning away people with COPD-3, said, your lungs can't take it. I don't want you to die in my lungs. or something
Yeah,
like
depending
that.
on concentration, yeah.
Yeah, you can, so there are some people that are quite sensitive to it. It doesn't have to be COPD 3 or 4. Because I've had people at that level and lower in there. It depends on the individual. It's a psychological response as well. But I've used the private room to be a room for acclimatising someone to a, because I keep the settings the same on the two main rooms, but the private room, I can change it. So if I've got someone in there who's quite sensitive, I can actually adjust the concentration levels so they acclimatise to it after a few sessions here or there, and then they start getting used to the idea of breathing a solid matter. A lot of it's very much psychological. We obviously don't tell them that. It's acclimatising.
I do know too that I'm not familiar with the name of them, but we can look it up and try to get this information, but there have been scientific studies in Europe done specifically on COPD and its benefits with halotherapy. And then I just wanted to add one more thing. Your generator does have customizable settings, so that, like he's explaining, you can customize it per the treatment. So just wanted to clarify that.
So you train your staff to lower the level of...
So I've trained the staff, but most of the shifts are worked by myself and my wife. And so the training starts quite long, and we have to start again because one of them's been away for quite some time, and I want to redo it as well I would if I was still working at Crown when they're away for a period of time. And they're not to just go straight in. This is my business, so I want them replicating everything I do and say, and feeling everything I believe. So the training's got to come back again.
I think what I love, because I actually use the Mind Body software,
Yep.
is that there's a soap note portion on Mind Body. So if things do come out about the halotherapy sessions that I have with clients who
Yes,
skip,
in the top right corner, yeah.
I can actually go into my Mind Body software. I mean, a client notes of all of my clients who have specific halotherapy treatments for specific conditions.
Yep.
So we can go back and refer and see what works for them. Because I have a halomed and I have halotherapy solutions. So I have
Yep.
two machines.
Yep.
And I can use them for different things.
No, it's fantastic.
So
Yeah.
that really works.
It's a fantastic part of it, actually.
Yes.
So that any staff, anyone, if you're not there, someone else can come and see the actual notes. And that's what I really encourage note taking. And that's from conversations. How's it going? And mums are usually quick to tell me about their kids or current ones, bronchiolitis or asthma. They slept well, they didn't sleep well. But gee, they've got a lot of gum coming out of their mouth and their nose, and colour of the gut as well.
So we had autistic children. We had an autistic child coming to our self care. The mother brought her in just because she wanted the child to relax. The autistic child, age 15, was having 2 shots a day for allergies. And can you imagine being autistic and having allergic reaction to you scratching your body, and you have no control? She came back the next day and she said, it's amazing. She slept so well, she calmed down, and she continued treatment for 3 weeks. It's been 2 years now, and she gets 1 shot every 6 months.
Wow.
If.
That's fantastic.
That's amazing, because the autistic community has responded so well to this information, and the doctors. I mean, we now have a dog on staff that works as a working dog and works with the autistic children as well. They used to have allergies to dogs. Our dogs there, they don't have, because that's not what was causing the allergy, right? So after they have 3 sessions a week for 2 weeks, it's a different child. And autistic children don't know what a placebo effect is. They don't know that they're getting self-therapy. So it really is a true reflection of how they're feeling.
That's a great reflection on yourself because they're quite sensory.
Right.
Yeah, and they introduce this new environment. Like, I've got a couple of autistic kids who come in on a regular basis, but I haven't set aside the times that they've wanted to come in. It's quite busy.
Right.
So it's been quite challenging in sometimes, but we're getting there. They're getting used to it. Hi.
Hi. I just want to give kind of a testimonial. Sorry. We have a 6-year-old little boy, and he gets croup every single month. I have a nursing background, so it's just you get that nebulizing solution on board. But this has been the biggest blessing for him. I mean, it's been phenomenal. We can stretch out. Now he gets it maybe once every couple months, maybe, and it's not as bad. We used to have a standing order in respiratory therapy. We were there all the time. He's been hospitalized for RSV. So even just like in our own family, and he's sensory processing disorder. So the mask on his face is the worst possible scenario for him.
Yeah.
So to hold that on him for half an hour, that's torture. It's traumatizing for him.
Yep.
And so now when we notice that croup, he does get it, not nearly as frequency, and it's not as bad as severity or length. But now we're just like, okay, go play in the salt cave. And he's like, all right, and he goes and digs and.
See, that's a fantastic story. I mean, I don't want to mean to make it commercial because it is, but I'm here about the business side, but that's commercial.
Yeah.
And when you tell it, it's all over your face. When you're in consultation with another mum and you show that concern, she's a member. I'm joining that. But that's all about. It's about your journey. It's about it's relatable, and that's one of the things. So I'm guessing that I got to wind up. Or
I hope you enjoyed Kenny's talk. If you have any more questions, just let us know at halotherapysolutions.com or info@halotherapysolutions.com, or you can reach us at 833-200-4209. Thanks, and have a good day.